Hey, welcome back to the Crash Base. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're back with a new villain. This is Enchantress from the Trickster Takeover Scenario Pack, which here in Canada just dropped last week. We had a good live stream last Sunday to play through it if you want to watch more gameplay, but out of the two heroes so far, Enchantress seems to be clearly my favorite, so we're going to test our Nick Fury deck against Enchantress, which seems like an interesting matchup. Of course, timestamps in the description if you want to jump straight to gameplay, but let's quickly talk about what we're doing here with this Nick Fury deck. So this is Nick Fury. I've been a big fan of stealth action my whole life, and this is a deck that's actually very similar to something we played before. I think we've just tuned it since. And Nick Fury's basic shtick all depends on this suit. Now the stealth suit, it is a permanent, and when it's in play, whenever an enemy would attack you, it schemes instead. And you put one of the threat on the stealth suit as long as the stealth suit has 5 or fewer threat on it. So that functionally mitigates some of the threat. You can kind of look at every villain having one less scheme stat, which is kind of nice. But that's really interesting. It means we are kind of bulletproof as much as there are repercussions, obviously, of threat getting too far out of control. Now, what do we do with a threat on the stealth card? Well, there's different ways we can use it. One of the big ways is we have this interrupt that whenever we attack, and this could be a basic attack or play an attack event, we're forced into assault mode. While assault mode means we can get attacked like normal, the big thing is we can remove threat from this to imbue our basic attacks or any attack events we play. We can remove up to 3 counters to do 3 additional damage, and that works really well with our kit, let alone any aggression card or any card in general that does AoE damage or does multiple attacks. We'll show you what that means, but we are playing aggression Nick Fury today because we can get a lot of value from just boosting the attack, especially of smaller attacks. This is a really cool mechanic. Nick Fury, our hero text says that whenever we thwart, we also get to put threat on our suit, even if it's in stealth form or not. And here we have the forced interrupt. When you attack, we have to change to our assault suit. In Alter Ego, we have 4 recovery, which is nice. We have 10 health. We get always our suit in play. It is a permanent. And as an action, we can change to the stealth suit. And that's actually a really interesting thing about our kit is that it's very easy from us to go to stealth to assault, but it's harder for us to go from assault back to stealth. Our Alter Ego is one way to do it, but we have a whole bunch of events in our kit that also allow us to slink back into the shadows. Now, Spray Fire, this is what I mean. So this card, if you just read it, it's not that impressive, especially when you're playing solo. Choose a player, deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engage with that player. This is a 3 for 6 sometimes, as much as that split damage. That's not very good in this game. And that's where the assault suit really matters. And this sort of structure works on any attack that does like AoE damage or does multiple attacks. If we spend up to 3 counters, that means Spray Fire. Say we spend 3 counters, we'll do 6 damage to the villain and 6 damage to every minion engaged with us. In a lot of cases, this is a 3 for 12 with a minion engaged with you. And that's where these assault counters get really, really good. So again, very important. It doesn't boost one instance of the damage. It boosts basically the functional number on this card. So it boosts all of its damage. We have 2 copies of Spray Fire. Covert Surveillance, we have 3 copies of this. This is one of the cards we can use to jump back into the shadows. This card just removes 2 threat for 1, which is not great, but then we can either put the threat on our suit, which is valuable as a resource. We can use it in multiple different ways, but also if we're in assault mode, we can just jump back to stealth mode. This is an interesting thing about this deck is our deck doesn't have a lot of ways to remove threat as much as if we're in stealth suit, all we're going to have to deal with is threat. So this card is important, but we have to go out of our way to add more ways to remove threat, and in aggression, it's actually kind of difficult. So we're leaning on allies a fair bit. We also have 2 copies of Concentrated Fire. Similar idea. This is a 2 for 4, but we can make it a 2 for 7. It has ranged, and if it defeats an enemy, either we get more counters on our suit or we can jump to stealth. And that's such a cool feeling to knock out a minion and just disappear. Really good theming on the stealth action cards. Now we have some upgrades, and we have some really strong upgrades. These 2 are super important for our kit. It says we can exhaust Fury's Flying card and remove a threat from our suit to Ready Nick and gain the aerial trait. The aerial trait has no synergy with our deck whatsoever, but this is just a free ready. And very importantly, our hero ability says when we thwart, we can put a threat on our suit. So if we thwart, put a threat on our suit, Ready Nick, remove that threat, thwart again, put a threat on our suit. So you can kind of look at this as functionally a free ready as long as you're thwarting. And again, you're going to be thwarting a heck of a lot. We also have Fury's Watch. This nice piece of tech gives us a resource generator. We can exhaust this and remove up to 2 threat. And for every threat we remove, we generate that many mental resources. Not a lot of resource generators in this game give you 2 resources, but there is a real cost attached to this because those are our threat counters, which we need to do big damage. Again, we did mention that our stealth suit is only really good if it has 5 or fewer threat on it. So this really incentivizes you to burn that threat by readying yourself or by using your watch or by just jumping out of the shadow and doing big bursts of damage. Next part of our kit, we have a bunch of these preparations, and these preparations are really quite strong. We have EM Shield, which says when you're going to take damage, don't. We have Eye Patch Camera, which says when you're going to put a threat on a scheme, don't. And we put it on our suit instead. And then we have Intelligence Analysis, which just says when you're going to draw a treachery, don't. They're all very good. Some of them have slightly different costs, but these are all preparation cards, which is why we're playing 2 copies of Practice Plan. Such an easy to play card. It says after you discard a preparation you control, return it to your hand. And recurring things like intelligence analysis is so important. Recurring your shield is really good in certain matchups, and eye patch camera is your get out of jail button, because if a villain thwarts on you, they generally thwart on you twice around if you're in your stealth suit. If you draw an encounter card that says attack or thwart, like that gets pretty bad pretty fast. So this is a nice get out of jail free. Now, to tie together all these preparations, we have Secret Agent, and I'll be honest, this card has always disappointed me. It says after you resolve a preparation, remove a threat from your scheme to your suit form. And that's nice and that's flexible. That should be really good. We have 5 preparations and the ability to replay our preparations. Whenever I get this down on turn 1, it just does not fire consistently, but it's nice to get it down there as a title. And it should fire maybe 3 to 4 times throughout a scenario, which is honestly not that great, but it's okay. We finally have Safe House 221, which is my least favorite safe house. It's an alter ego action to either place a threat on our suit or heal 2 damage. The heal 2 damage is generally a bit more interesting because any turn cycle that you pop down, that's like heal 4, but it's not usually a priority because we're pretty safe in the shadows, it turns out. It's only when we go toe to toe that we'll have a problem. Now, these are the cards that we added to the deck, or most of them. And to show you how the stealth suit works, or more accurately, the assault suit, you get a lot of value from cards like 1x1. If we spend counters on our assault suit, this becomes deal up to 5 damage. And if that defeats a minion or an enemy, and that usually does, deal 5 damage to another enemy, which means we can make 1x1 a 1 for 10 damage, which is just buck wild. And it's a really cool thing you can do with aggression. Nick. Another card we're playing is Firepower. We're only playing 2 copies, and this is another amazing card to boost the damage of it because it boosts the damage of every instance that the Firepower does damage. So if we spend 3 counters, this can exhaust up to 3 weapon upgrades and deal 6 damage into 6 damage into 6 damage, which is just a 1 for 18 as much as it requires a setup. And that will usually just end villains when you're playing solo. To boost this up, we have Aggressive Energy. We only have 1 of it in the deck, but it works functionally the same as our Assault Suit. And we have a lot of other cards that really balloon in value if you can boost the damage. And that's what this card does. And just to make sure we have the 3 weapons, we have Bambino, we have Hand Cannon, and we have the Shield Sidearm. Bambino is the biggest one. Ideally, we're going to cheat this out with our side scheme, but this costs 3 and it gives you 3 counters that do 3 additional damage and overkill with your basic attack, which overkill is really nice when we can boost any attack we do. The Hand Cannon is somewhere in the middle. It is also restricted. It's 3 attacks that give you +2 in overkill. And then we're playing just 1 copy of the Shield Sidearm because we are shield traded, because this is a weapon that isn't restricted. So we can attach it to ourselves and easily carry 3 weapons without having to give ourselves additional restricted slots. This card's okay. It does 1 damage, which is a nice way to take off toughnesses before the attack goes through. Then we have some side schemes. 2 side schemes work really well with our deck. We have Lock and Load. This one, for 2 threat, we can easily clear with Nick Fury's 2 thwart. And this just gets a weapon and puts into play. So we ideally never pay 3 costs for the Bambino. And then just about any deck that's running Firepower is running Keep Up the Pressure. 2 threat means we can clear it whenever we want. We can grab an attack event, so we can always get a Firepower or a 1x1 or whatever we need. And then all attack events deal additional damage that turn, which, as we talked about, our Assault Suit scales really well with this deck. Another card I really like, Surprise Attack. I don't often play this. It's one of those cards that only fires when you change form. And an important thing to understand is when you flip your suit, that counts as a form change from my understanding. Which means if you do an attack and break Nick Fury's stealth to go to assault, you can do a response and play Surprise Attack, and a Surprise Attack is an attack, so you can boost it with your assault counters. So if you do a basic attack, let alone play another attack event, suddenly you can do a 1 for 7 if you remove 3 counters and pay a physical for this, which is just such a good trade. 1 for 3 on its own is fine, but 1 for 3 plus, really, really good. And we're usually in full control, as much as this does force us to break stealth. Now we got allies, and our deck actually needs a fair few allies from my experience so far, and that's because we have very few cards in aggression that can thwart. So we're going to rely on our allies to thwart, and we have some really good allies who do just that. All right, this is the cadre of friends we're bringing along. We have Maria Hill, who's our unique ally. We're going to be thwarting a lot with her because she can thwart for 6 before she goes down, and she puts the threat on our suit, which we value that. That's a good resource. We're playing Aggression Captain America. I'm testing this out. 4 is actually relatively expensive, as much as we do have some research generators that can generate more than 1 resource a turn. Captain America has toughness and will enter play, can ready a shield character, which means with Nick, we can attack multiple times and fire off our guns maybe, or just keep thwarting, which is nice. And thwarting for 2, not a bad spot to be in. We're also playing Psylocke. I play Psylocke pretty consistently in aggression decks because she has a good thwart stat. She's a bit expensive, but she can also confuse the villain, which we really like because if the villain attacks us, they generally scheme. So confuse is also kind of like a stun if we're in a stealth suit. We're playing Grant Ward because Grant Ward's really cheap, very easy, does a lot of thwarting, ideally for 1 to maybe 2 resources. We'll generally have the mental resources, especially if we ever watch. And we're playing Prof X for the same reason. Prof X thwarts really well, gets to confuse. We like all that sort of stuff. I'm also playing Gambit, and I think there's a couple cards you could play in the slot. Ideally, Gambit has 2 to 3 thwart, which we really do want that because the villain's going to be scheming on us pretty consistently. To wrap up the deck, we have a Helicarrier and 3 of our basic resources. So we just have a couple more economy cards in our deck. And that's the list. We're going to be spending most of our time in our stealth suit. And then once there's minions or once we're full on the stealth suit, we will pop out the shadows, do a whole lot of damage with these undercosted big attacks that can do multiple damage, and then hopefully clear the table. What's really interesting is we're playing against Enchantress, and Enchantress wants to attack you. In fact, that's how she progresses her enchantments, and she puts the charm counters. So it's a really weird matchup. We're kind of favored, but Enchantress also schemes pretty well. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how this lines up, but I'm excited for this matchup. So here we're playing stock standard Enchantress with all the recommended sets. So that's going to be Enchantress herself. We're playing standard 3. So we have Pursued by the Past and we're playing Expert, and we're going to be starting on Enchantress 2. Our setup puts Future of Despair aside. We have to attach a random hypnotic gaze. The front of these are all the same. The backs are all different. So far in my experience, I haven't had the pleasure of seeing all of them. So hopefully we play one that I haven't tried yet. And we have to grab one and put it into play. So I'm just going to roll a die. We'll do 1 on left. Or take this one and we'll figure out what this is in probably a couple turns once it gets to 5 charm counters. And otherwise we can flip this over. So the back of this starts with 1 threat. Once it gets to 6, it advances, and there is 1 more main scheme, and 6 is a pretty low threshold when Enchantress is scheming for 2. It says Forced Interrupt when a charm counter would be placed on an enchantment card in your area. If you were enthralled, place that threat here instead. So this won't matter until this thing flips over, because our hypnotic gaze says that we're not enthralled, we are defiant. Once it's flipped over, that's where we're going to get enthralled. The villain comes in with Steady and Toughness with 16 health. Steady will matter a fair bit, considering we have a bit of Confused in our deck, but not too much. The When Revealed we don't do because we're not playing in standard mode, and the Force Response after Enchantress attacks you, place a charm counter on your enchantment card in your play area, which will be this Hypnotic Gaze. Once it hits 5, we flip. That is most of the setup. I'm just going to do a good shuffle on our deck. We'll shuffle the villain's deck and we should be off. The one thing that I know I tried earlier in this deck is I played a couple aggression cards that got you minions consistently. And that's because cards like 1x1 really want you to have minions engage with you. Cards like Concentrated Fire as well. I find that very difficult when you play solo aggression to have the cards that pay off for having minions in front of you, cards that have overkill, stuff like that, but also having a functional deck. I think aggression just generally plays better if you're playing more than just solo, because as soon as there's more players on the table, there's a bigger chance you'll find minions on the table and you can do your thing. So that's always the struggle when you're playing solo aggression. Right now we have no ways to grab minions, but there's a whole bunch of good cards you can put in your deck that grab minions with consistency. We'll say if we have too many minions, too few minions. It's always something to keep in mind when you're playing an aggression deck. We'll give that a cut. And then we'll just cut this really quickly. We did shuffle it already. Cool. And we'll give this a cut. And we're off. Let's do our mulligan. Oh, actually, sorry. We should be an alter ego. Of course, our alter ego ability puts our suit into play, and we can change the stealth suit form, which we'll generally do before we flip up. So we're drawing 6. We have firepower. We definitely don't keep this. It doesn't do anything when we don't have weapons, let alone Enchantress is tough, so not the most important. Practice plan. This one you can always keep if you want to. It only works when we have one of our preparations, but it's cheap. I'll put this in the maybe camp. Another firepower. We know we're not keeping that. We have an energy. We'll probably keep that. Doubles are good, especially for the setup, so we'll hopefully have something that we can pay for that. We have a Safe House 221, and there's a lot of decks where I'll keep the alter ego card, but this doesn't actually help us set up. Spending 2 cards functionally to get 1 threat doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm not keeping that one. We have Lock and Load. This one I actually do want to keep. It's really easy to put on the table, and when we clear it, we get the Bambino, which sets up our firepowers, as much as we're not going to be drawing in those until we cycle our deck. But 2 threats really easy for us to clear. I think we do keep that. And that is 6 cards. So we're definitely not keeping these. We didn't draw any like important setup cards, so my guess is that we're not going to keep Practice Plan. We're hopefully going to draw into something better, so I will discard this, and we'll just draw 4 more. Surprise Attack. Okay, so we could play this when we jump up. I'm pretty sure we're going to spend that as a resource. We have a Concentrated Fire, which is also not amazing. It can do a bit of damage. We can't defeat anything, so it's not amazing. We have a Shield Sidearm, which we could play. It's nice to get some of our weapons on the table as much as 2 firepowers are out. And then we have a Covert Surveillance, which, yeah, maybe we could do a bit of damage and then just return to the shadows with Covert Surveillance. All right, weird opening, but I think we can make this make sense. So what do we want to do? The double naturally works for Concentrated Fire, which is okay. Then if we want to play Locked and Loaded for 1, that's something. And then either we play Covert Surveillance, which is not amazing here. It can jump us back into the shadows if we want to attack Enchantress with our basic and then shoot for 4. That comes at the cost of not playing the sidearm, which that is technically a cost, I guess. But I guess if we do play the sidearm, the cool thing is that if we attack, we can take the toughness off and then our basic goes through. I actually really like that the sidearm is not restricted. It gives it a unique identity. It gives you kind of like pseudo piercing on your basic attack if you want to consider that. Okay, so if we do that, if we want to play Concentrated Fire, it does 4 damage. It has ranged, which doesn't matter. But if this is just a 2 for 4, it's not amazing. It's not going to get any of its kicker text, which feels bad. So I think we're just going to have an inefficient turn. I don't know if we actually play Concentrated Fire here. Maybe it makes sense that we just like set up like this and waste the energy. So we can set up everything. We can take the toughness off. We can attack for 2. We can take this off. We can jump to stealth. Like maybe that makes the most sense. The problem with surprise attack is, yeah, we're going to waste it no matter what. So I think here we're not going to use our alter ego ability because I think we're going to use covert surveillance to jump back into stealth mode. We're just going to jump up in hero mode. I'm going to spend the concentrated fire to play the shield sidearm. Comes in with 3 counters. I think I'm going to use a black die for that. I want to use red, but it kind of looks like health. So now when we use a basic attack, or it's any attack? Oh, basic attack. Yeah, we can ping 1 damage first. It's an interrupt. So then we're going to attack. We'll exhaust the shield sidearm to do 1 damage to the toughness, and our attack will go through for 2 damage. So villain's down to 14. We will then play lock and load on the table. Oh, wait. No, I guess. Actually, we could have done this in a different order. So now we play lock and load with C-Threat. And I guess actually we covert surveillance the lock and load, which means we could attack with a Bambino just to do more damage. That's super aggressive. I think we actually do that. So before we do our basic attack, let's wind that back. Yeah, before that goes through, we'll play covert surveillance, remove 2 threat from a scheme. We'll do lock and load. So this is now removed from the game, and we can search our deck and discard pile for a weapon and put into play for free. We're going to go grab the Bambino, which I really like this weapon. 3 cost, 3 bullets. We're attached to us. And now when we attack, we can remove a counter and exhaust this to do 3 additional damage and gain overkill. Yeah, wait, actually, if we do this in this order, the rewind, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because what I wanted to do now is attack, take this off, then attack. But we have to do covert surveillance last if we want to end up back into the shadows. So we're just going to do the same thing that we did before, which is before we clear this, before we get the lock and load, imagine we didn't undo that. We were going to attack for 1, chip off the toughness, get 2 to go across. Then we're going to clear this with covert surveillance. So after this, we can end up in stealth. Tricky. Very, very interesting. I think that's the right order here. Now, Enchantress might scheme out. I think if we draw 3 boosts, she might scheme out here. But if she does, it's not the end of the world. So importantly, we scheduled that turn somewhat clumsily to end up on our stealth suit. So now when Enchantress would attack us, instead she schemes. But one of the threat that she'll put on the main scheme ends up on her stealth suit. So we'll drop to 5. We get Psylocke, which is expensive. We get a double. She might come down. We have Eye Patch Camera. This card is so valuable. It's just a get out of jail free card. When any threat would be placed on the main scheme, place 3 threat on your suit instead. So that does double duty of not advancing, let alone 3 threats good. We have Maria Hill, who's probably going to edge out Psylocke. She's a bit cheaper. We have the Helicarrier, which I don't think we can afford to play with this hand unless we draw a double. And we drew our Watch, which is kind of like a double. It's Research Generator we want to set up. So our priority is probably the Watch and the camera. Maybe we can get Maria Hill down. I don't think we can. All right, this goes to 2. And then the villain's going to attack us. But again, she doesn't attack. So she's scheming for 2 in a card. 2 boost. It's Ulik, big guy. So this is 4 threat. But 1 of the threat goes on our suit with our stealth ability. And then 3 goes here. So yeah, a 3 boost would have cooked us. Now we have to hope that this card doesn't attack or doesn't thwart, because then we'll advance for sure. Oh, maybe that's worse. It's Evil Alliance. When revealed, each nemesis activates. Otherwise, we put 3 threat on Pursued by the Past. When Pursued by the Past hits 4 threat, our nemesis set comes out. It's an alternate version of standard, which makes your nemesis come out a bit more consistently, but not always on turn 1 if you draw Shadows of the Past. But drawing Evil Alliance turn 1 is kind of as bad as it gets. And it's back to us. So seemingly the only safe way we can keep in our stealth suit is we need to keep this down to 0. Because if we pass the turn while this is a 1, it goes up to 2 automatically. And then if Enchantress schemes for 5, -1 because her stealth suit, it hits 4. So the only way we can keep our stealth suit on all the time is keeping this down to 0. 6 is just really, really difficult. So if that's the case, we're probably going to have to get Maria Hill down. We're going to have to thwart ourselves. So I think this angle is probably just Maria and Fury's Watch. Eye Patch Camera does help a heck of a lot. It really does. Oh, and I guess we should shout out that the villain didn't attack us. And this says after Enchantress attacks you, the attack is replaced with a scheme. So we don't have to put anything on our Hypnotic Gaze. It'll still probably crack at some point because the scenario is really good at giving different ways to put charm counters on there. But we have this like built-in synergy. If we're stalking around, she can't kind of charm us. So I'm going to pitch Helicarrier for a Watch. So this we can exhaust to spend our last stealth counter to generate 1 resource at a minimum, which I think we will. We'll do 1, take this off, and spend 2-3 for Maria. Maria Hill's immediately going to rebuild. Oh, is there a different order where we play Maria first? Oh, we also could. Yeah, wait. Is there a better order here? This is messy. Hold on. I need to think. These are actually interesting turns. No matter what, Nick is going to thwart first. So when Nick thwarts, we take 2 off of here. And his ability says after you make a basic thwart, you get a threat on your suit no matter what. So now technically Fury's Watch can generate 2. We can't get better than that. So I think we just hold on to the eye patch camera. So we'll just do it slightly different. We'll throw out the helicarrier to play the watch. We'll put this into play. We'll exhaust it to generate 2 resources. Yeah. So then we'll throw out third. We'll throw out Psylocke, and then we'll play Maria Hill. I guess we're going to risk it. I think we're risking it again that we just don't get a 3 boost. Maria Hill's going to thwart for 2. We got to put the 2 on our suit. Mind you, we took 2 off of the suit, so now we're still on 2. Excuse me. And that's all we have. We'll hold on to the camera. I think the camera is actually that important as like a get out of jail button. And otherwise, the only card we want is our flying car. If we draw a 3 boost, we're cooked. If we draw another attack or a thwart, we're cooked, but there is another main scheme. We'll be fine. All right, spray fire. If we get a minion that does something, we got the car, so we're golden. We have the shield in case we want to break stealth and just take hits. And then we have another spray fire. So EM shield just says when you're going to be attacked, don't, which is nice. And then our free flying car says that we can ready ourselves by just spending a threat from our suit, which we can always get a threat on our suit if we're ready. All right, this goes to 2. Villain is going to attack us, but instead schemes. So it's for 2 and a card. Boost. Oh, this is bad. Luckily, we're going to have ways to deal with our nemesis. But Nowhere Safe has no boosts. So firstly, Enchantress is going to thwart for 2, but only 1 goes here. We steal the other one. But then after this activation, place 1 pursuit counter on Pursuit by the Past. When Pursuit by the Past hits 4 counters when you're playing solo, we go ahead and put our nemesis minion into play. Which this is the worst time to draw it because technically now our nemesis minion is engaged with us, which means our nemesis will activate against us during the part where the minions activate, which is right now. So Orion comes into play. Orion has really wild text, very Colossus-like in some ways. 6 health and toughness, and Orion can take any number of toughnesses. And after Orion takes any amount of damage, give him a tough status card. So we really need to spend our 3 stealth counters to do 6 damage all at once. Otherwise, we have a problem because Orion just keeps getting tough. We're going to put into play Acquire Infinity Formula. This is such a messed up card. Really makes you want to be in the shadows because 5 threat and amplify says, after Nick Fury takes any amount of damage, give Orion a tough status card. And if Orion's not in play, find him and put him into play, engage with Nick Fury. So taking any amount of damage when Orion's not on the table is an absolute disaster. We'll be shuffling 3 cards into the deck. 2 of them are minions. And now Orion will activate against us. But because we're still in the stealth suit, Orion would scheme for 2. 1 goes here. We trap the other one. So we're really good against minions, less good against villains because minions generally don't scheme for that much. And we have to Orion. Orion was functionally a 1 scheme, which is good. All right, we draw 1 encounter card. Mind you, we have a problem here. And this is what I mean. Our deck doesn't have a lot of burst thwarting. So we're really relying on our allies. I think we've seen a couple so far. But we'll cut. We'll draw 1 encounter card. Law of Attraction. Okay, we're going to get another minion, which is actually maybe not that bad for us. The Law of Attraction comes into play, has an acceleration, not great, comes in with 2 threat, also not the best. And when revealed, discard cards from the top of the deck until an enthralled minion enters play. Here, we actually want a really big enthralled minion because the bigger it is, as long as it has 6 health, we can take it out with our AoE cards. So we'll discard cards. Okay, we got a small one. Oh, this is going to be really interesting. So it's an enthralled lackey. These are some of the smaller ones in the Enchantress kit. And enthralled lackey has quick strike. But because we're in stealth suit, we'll actually scheme instead. Schemes for 2, but only schemes for 1. So this goes to 5 and this goes to 5. And it says after this minion attacks you, place a charm, but it did not attack us. It was replaced. It's now back to us. We have some big problems. I think it's very likely we're going to have to break stealth this turn. We need to knock out Orion. And the issue is if we break stealth, we need to not take damage until we clear the Acquire Infinity formula, because otherwise Orion comes back immediately. And that's just a nightmare. We can't deal with that. So good thing is if we play Spray Fire, as long as there's no toughness on Orion, we can use 3 counters and this will do 6 damage to everything, which is a lot of damage. This is going to do functionally 3 for 18 this turn, knocking out the Lackey, Orion, and the Enchantress. That's not bad. I think Nyx is still going to have to thwart a bit. This costs 3, so Fury's Watch and a card pays for it. And then it's tricky because I think we want to play the Fury's Flying card because it's really, really good. But I think there's a chance we need to play EM Shield just so we don't take damage. Because if we take damage, the Orion comes back, which is not great. The other options we can play Fury's Flying car and then just chump block with Maria Hill, which might be more important, especially because I think we can get use of Fury's Flying card this turn because the ready is functionally nearly free. So that would be 1, 2, 3 from this, and then we play the car. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So shame that we throw out 2 of our best preparations, but we'll play Fury's Flying car. We're going to start by thwarting for 2. I think we're just going to knock out Law of Attraction. And when we thwart, we get 1 of the threat on our suit. Then Fury's Flying car allows us to remove that threat, to ready ourselves. So I think we have to keep thwarting. This is 1 away from cracking. Maria can help on it for sure. I think we can't deal with this one. I think we have 2 copies of Covert Surveillance left in our deck. That would help. We need to take the toughness off. I think that means we have to attack ourselves. Yeah, I think we have to attack. So we're going to make a basic attack. Actually, do we have to break? Yeah, we have to break stealth if we're attacking. So spray fire means that we're actually incentivized here to do a basic attack against Enchantress, because we can use the shield sidearm to ping this toughness off, and then we won't waste any damage from the spray fire, which we're committing to play anyways. I guess there's a chance if we don't play spray fire, we can attack Orion to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like we can attack Orion for a lot. Then how do we deal with the lackey? We don't want to let the lackey attack us because of the acquire infinity formula. So I think we're just going to go for the spray fire plan. So we're going to do a basic attack. And when we do a basic attack, we have to force ourselves into our assault suit. And our assault suit says now on any attack as an interrupt, we can spend these charges. I'm pretty sure you can use these charges when you break stealth. They are interrupt. So when you attack, this is an interrupt, that's an interrupt. That should work. So now we can attack for any amount that we want to spend these counters. We do want to keep some counters because it makes our watch and our flying car work. But also we want to make sure that we're underneath 5. So when we go back to stealth, we're eating some of that threat ourselves. So we're going to fire the sidearm. I think we're going to leave the last counter on here. So we're going to be attacking. We're going to be attacking into Enchantress. It says when attached character would make a basic attack, exhaust us, remove an ammo counter. We'll deal 1 damage to Orion. And then we can attack for 1, 2. We could do a bit more damage with Bambino. I guess we might as well. So with Bambino, we're going to exhaust it. So our basic attack is going to do 5 damage. We can make us do more damage with Assault, but I think we're okay here. We're just going to do 5 damage to Enchantress. None of these have guard. Yeah. All right, she's down to 9. Then we're going to use our watch and spend 2 counters to play Spray Fire. And Spray Fire, we're going to juice it. We have to juice it all the way. So we'll use all our counters. So we're going to juice this to 6 damage. We're going to choose ourselves. So we deal 6 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. So it knocks out the lackey, knocks out Orion. Orion's text doesn't fire, and we do 6 more damage to Enchantress. Down to 3, not too bad. Maria Hill will just thwart for 2. We put it on our suit because that's what she does. And we'll pass. We're going to have to block here with Maria Hill because we take damage, Acquire Infinity formula goes off, and we really don't want that to happen, especially because if the villain attacks us, then Orion will be in play, and then Orion will activate against us. We'll pass. Draw 5. Captain America, pretty expensive, but maybe we can do it. Secret Agent was next. Again, such a disappointing card. This card seems like it should be so good. I guess you can build a full preparation deck and maybe protection. Maybe it does a bit better. We have the hand cannon. It's our last weapon. It's okay. We want a 3rd weapon for firepower sooner than later. I love me a Grant Ward, just the cheapest 2 thwart you can get for the first turn. And aggressive energy in this hand is not going to do anything. We literally don't have a way to spend it, but that's okay. It's a wild. We'll take it. It's a resource. This goes to 4. Enchantress is now attacking for 2 with an Amplify, and a card will block with Maria. I think there's some cards that give overkill. This is not one of them, but this is a massive boost for 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maria Hill is knocked out. All right. Now Enchantress has finally attacked us. So we have to do the villain thing, which says put 1 charm counter on your hypnotic gaze. And once this hits 5, we figure out what sort of enthralled we become. Absorbing Man. Okay, we need some damage. These are really interesting cards that came in the Trickster Magic set. This one has guard and victory. When it attacks, it'll have +X attack, whereas the highest printed cost card we have, which currently is 3, so attacks for 4, which is massive. But if we defeat Absorbing Man, we get our own Absorbing Man ally, which is pretty cool. So on this turn, we definitely have 7 damage. The question is, how do we keep all this stuff in check? And we have to make sure we never take damage because of Acquire Infinity formula. So this might be a play Captain America angle and play Grant Ward and then just start blocking with Captain, which toughness on this is a really good time. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. I think we are going to be okay. Oh, we're also going to get Absorbing Man. And Absorbing Man with Bambino. Okay, this is going to be really, really good. So we're going to start here by just attacking. So we'll attack for 2. We need a bit more damage. Whoa, what's the order here? Actually, I need to think this through. Because we need 1 off of Assault to play Captain America. So we can always thwart 2 for free. I think we start there. So actually, we will use our hero to thwart 2 off the main scheme. We put 1 in our suit. Yeah, that's the start. Then we have to use the card to ready ourselves. So it's functionally just a free 2 thwart. Not bad. We need that. We have no way to get back to stealth besides jumping down to Alter Ego, which we could risk. With the Amplify, it's a bit scarier. We do have to clean this for many reasons. We have to clear that. I guess we have to use a shield sidearm to finish this off, or Grant Ward could help finish this off. I think that's the case because I want to keep our shield sidearm on the table. Any card that has uses, whenever it's out of uses, it just automatically discards itself. So we want to keep our weapons on the table. So this is +1. This is +3, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're short 1 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So I guess Grant Ward attacks Absorbing Man as well. And then Absorbing Man can threat this out. Yeah, actually, this is okay. So we'll spend 1, 2, 3. We'll use the watch to generate 1. We'll play the captain. Oh, wait, this readies the shield character. Oh my God. Wait, with his text on this is perfect. Okay, hold on. So that means we're going to get another threat. This is actually really good for us. So we're going to, before we do this, we're going to thwart for 2 off the main scheme. We capture one on our stealth suit or on our suit. It's an assault suit. Then we're going to spend one. Wait, this is perfect. Yeah. For 2, 3, 4. We play the captain. 3 health and toughness. We like the toughness because we can't take damage here or it'll be a problem. After Captain America readies a S.H.I.E.L.D character, that is so good. That is exactly what we needed on this turn. We'll play Grant Ward, who is a bit of a problem. Our deck doesn't have that many like built-in mental resources, I don't think, but our Fury's Watch is not an action, it's a resource, so we can do this during the villain phase. Comes in with 3 health, cannot defend, which is going to be important the next couple turns. So then we can just use Grant Ward to attack for 2 off of Absorbing Man. And then we're going to attack for 1, 2. We're going to use this to make a 3, 4, 5. And I don't think we're going to use any of our counters. We want to preserve our counters because we're going to need them for our economy. So this is going to be attack for 5 damage, which knocks out Absorbing Man. And Absorbing Man has a linked ally attached. So when defeated, goes into the victory display. We get our own Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man's value really fluctuates based off the deck you're playing, but our Absorbing Man is going to be really, really good here. Oh no, because we exhausted Bambino. It's a bit worse. I guess we're just going to chill and use Absorbing Man next turn. But our Abs Man only has 3 health, and this is not like a normal deck building card. But when we activate with Absorbing Man, we can exhaust an upgrade or support. So Bambino should be good to use next turn. And it gets plus X, where X is the cost of the card up to 3, which means Absorbing Man will thwart for 4 next turn. We can't use Captain America because we want to preserve the toughness, and we'll pass. All right. Been exciting so far. I'm glad this is working out, and we'll draw up Covert Surveillance to go back in the shadows. That's going to be valuable. Strength 1 by 1. So if we draw more minions, again, this card would have been really, really good on the right turn. We have another Covert Surveillance. So those are all the Covert Surveillances from our deck. So this is a nice way to jump back into the stealth, which we definitely want to, and another 1 by 1. So not a lot of options. Hopefully we get a small minion here. This goes to 1. Enchantress is going to attack for 3 in a card because of the Amplify. Boost on this, Kiss of Temptation. Cool, attach your identity. So this set added a new mechanic called forced actions. And forced actions are actions, you just have to take them during the player phase. I don't think you're allowed to end your turn until you did. So at some point we have to spend an action to exhaust this card, to place a charm counter, to draw a card, and then discard a card. That's a really good effect, in fact. Now that was going to be blocked by Captain America, excuse me. I should have declared that, but we didn't want to take damage. So Captain America exhausts, takes the toughness off. After the attack, Hypnotic Gaze goes up 1 because of the villain text, and Captain America survives. We have to watch out that we don't draw any treacheries, and we didn't. Ooh, this is actually a really interesting card. Wow, this is going to kind of mess up our turn. So Puppet Master comes in with 3 threat because we're playing on Expert. Allies cannot thwart the scheme or defend against the villain's attacks. We need to clear that immediately because Acquire Infinity formula, we can't take damage. We're going to have to chump block. And I think it's back to us. This says allies cannot thwart this scheme, which is not the worst thing, but we're going to thwart other schemes for sure. So Absorbing Man, our friend now, he can thwart for 4, which lines up well with Infinity formula. I think we have to clear that. We definitely want to go back to stealth. We could actually advance Enchantress right now because we definitely have enough damage. I don't want to. Generally, when you advance the villain, things get a bit worse. And I think we want to stabilize a bit. We want to clear all this before we make things worse. So I think we're just going to thwart. And then probably we'll let ourselves deck out and then we'll advance Enchantress. We don't have that many other things to set up. We're pretty good on firepower. We do have one more side scheme, which we want to set up for the big like pop-off turn, which will give us some consistency. I think we start with Kiss of Temptation, don't we? Exhaust this card. We have to do this. Place a charm counter. Unless we're going to jump to Alter Ego. I don't think we are. Place 1 charm counter. So we're at 3 of 5. We'll find out what happens. Then we get to draw a card first and then discard a card. So we don't need 1 by 1s. So that was actually pretty good for us. As an Alter Ego, we can exhaust this card to discard it. So maybe on another turn, if we get it confused as much as there is a steady. All right. So what is the angle here? Minions can't deal with this. So I think we have to clear Puppet Master. So we're going to start by thwarting for 2. Off the Puppet Master, we take 1. And then we'll just ready ourselves with our car. So we take a threat. We're ready. And then I know it's a bit wasteful, but we'll clear up. No, we shouldn't. It doesn't matter. Everything has an odd breakpoint, so we might as well thwart it here. So we'll thwart for 2. We'll take this, and we'll clear Puppet Master. So get rid of the hazard, and that's a good spot to be. Then we'll use Absorbing Man. We'll thwart. Taking 2 consequential, we'll exhaust our Bambino. So thwarting for 4, dropping this down, which is great. We want to finish that off. We'll probably finish it off with Covert Surveillances, because otherwise we're not doing anything here. So we'll play a Covert Surveillance, and we can jump back to stealth. It says remove 2 threat from a scheme. We clear Acquire Infinity formula. If you're in stealth suit, you may place that threat on your suit form. Otherwise, you may jump to stew form. Now, we don't want to put too much threat on here because our suit stealth technology only works if there's 5 or fewer. Then we'll just play the other one, get it out of our hand. So this will target the main scheme. We're already in stealth, so we'll put it on there. We'll play Keep Up the Pressure, which we want to clear on the right turn. It's sometimes tricky because on solo, you can only have 1 player side scheme in play, which is something I often mess up. So you want to clear your lock and load before this, because this you just keep on the table until the turn that you want to pop off. All we have left is Grant Ward. We do want to get Grant Ward out of the game sooner than later, so we're not drawing too many encounter cards, especially when you deck out and Grant Ward has more chances to to be a bit of a rogue agent. So we're going to just attack for 2, dropping Enchantress to 1. And that's it. We'll pass. I think we did a good job stabilizing there. We'll draw up to 5. We have Prof X. Okay, so this is one of our confused cards. The other confused card, I think, is Psylocke. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but could be useful. We have Gambi, which I do like to play. We'll see if we do a big thwart with Absorbing Man to open up our slots. Car's ready. Surprise attack gives us an incentive to break stealth, which we could consider doing that if we're jumping down, but we have to do a form change. We have a concentrated fire, so this is the issues if you don't have minions, but we could actually use this to defeat Enchantress, which is a fun little angle. And then we have a genius to maybe make these cards a bit cheaper. All right, this goes to 1. Enchantress would attack, but again, we're in our stealth suit, so she schemes instead. So she's scheming for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1 is 4. Wait, this is perfect. Yeah, because we cleared it fully. So this is her crown. It has 3 boosts. So in theory, she schemes for 5. That's why we have to keep our stealth suit down, because she schemes for 5. We reduce it by 1. So this goes to 5 and this goes to 5. Close. 1 counter card. All right, not close. Dark Designs. So we are just going to advance. It's fine. So this says place 1 pursuit counter. The villain just schemes. So Enchantress is scheming for 2 and a card. 3, 4. We put 1 on us, but regardless, we are going to advance. So we go to the second scheme. Sovereign Sorceress. When revealed, the Crown of Enchantress is not in play, put into play, and it was just a card we discarded. The crown is something, it's not that hard to get rid of, but it is impactful. Crown of the Enchantress attaches the Enchantress. It gives her Stalwart, so Confused is even less useful. And it says after Enchantress schemes, place a charm counter. So this is a card that can give us charm counters even if we're in their stealth suit, which is a neat angle to get attacked on. Cool. Other side of this starts with 2 threat, which is actually nice. We like it to have threat. Has the same text. So if you're going to put a charm counter and you have your Hypnotic Gaze flipped, instead it puts threat on here. So once you are enthralled, the main scheme just accelerates a bit more quickly. 9 threat is a good padding, so we're a bit more safe. And I think now we've seen 2 copies of Dark Designs. Actually, no, sorry, we've only seen 1 copy of Dark Designs. But there's a whole bunch of like encounter cards that just say, especially if you were enthralled, that just says Enchantress schemes, which is an easy way to lose this game. All right, it's back to us. We have no villains. We have no minions. So that's not great. I am tempted to do the Kiss of Temptation just to see 1 more card, but we have to do it. So I guess we might as well do it at the start of the turn. So we'll exhaust this. Charm goes to 4. We draw a card. We can discard a card. It doesn't really matter what we're discarding here. These cards are not super useful. I don't think we're going to break stealth. Oh, we revealed Dark Designs. So we have to do Grant Ward. I guess we saw a card first. So ordering's bad there. So yeah, we had to do this before we did anything else. So I guess we're just going to use the watch. It's the thing that we can do that doesn't care about any extra information. Using the watch is actually bad because we lose a resource, but that's the only way I'm going to feel good about it. Because I don't think I would have discarded Professor X there. Okay, so Absorbing Man can thwart for 4. I think we're actually going to advance Enchantress. I think we're going to concentrate fire her, but I do think we break stealth and we shoot. We definitely want to get rid of Grant Ward before we deck out. So maybe we just do Grant Ward for threat control. Captain America missing the deck out is not the worst thing. Okay. I think we're going to advance. We'll advance with Grant Ward. So Grant Ward is just going to attack for 2 to the villain, which defeats the villain. We advance. So Enchantress 3 now comes into play. Steady in toughness, 18 health, and says when revealed, put the set aside Future of Despair side scheme into play and place an additional 4 threat on it. Same force response after she attacks, place a charm counter, and now she schemes for 3. So Future of Despair with 4 extra threat. It's going to come in with 6 threat. This says Enchantress has Stalwart and she cannot take damage. When revealed, place a charm counter on each enchantment card in play. So this hits 5. It's just behind the card here. So our Hypnotic Gaze pops off. And this usually has a really bad ability when you flip it, but otherwise it hit 5 threat. So we have to flip it over. So we get Trance of Pride. Cool. So identity is now enthralled. So that's not great. When revealed, exhaust your identity. Discard a card randomly from your hand. That's going to have an impact. And our forced action now we have to do every round, and we have no way of getting rid of this, is exhaust this card to replace a threat on the main scheme to remove 2 threat from a side scheme, which main scheme threat is how we lose this game. So that's a bit frightening. Let's roll a die. 1 will be left. 2, we lose Prof X. Not my favorite, but it's okay. Okay, we have to do this. So we will. So we're going to exhaust this card, put a threat on the main scheme, and we'll remove 2 from a side scheme. We'll do this. We need to clear this, otherwise she can't take damage. And we're very, very close. In fact, maybe even this turn. are we able to just like nuke her? Because if we clear keep up the pressure, we can do firepower. It'll do 4. Wait, actually, do we just win this turn? I think we have 18 damage here. I think we can do this before we deck out. So we have to clear Future Despair because obviously she can't take damage. So we're going to use Absorbing. Oh no, we have to exhaust Bambino to do that. So we end up losing like 7 damage off the turn. So I don't think we win this turn. I think we probably win next turn if we can survive. So I think we have to break stealth and just take an attack. So we have 10 health. It's a resource. But we need to clear this. The issue is if Absorbing Man works, we're going to use Absorbing Man to do the thing that we want him to do. He exhausts the Bambino, and Firepower requires you to exhaust your weapons. How else can we remove 4 from this? We also have to take the toughness off. None of these have piercing. They only have ranged. We could play Gambit. Gambit can't get 4. Gambit at most will be 3. Captain America probably breaks the toughness. We can ready ourselves. Then we attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our Firepower can do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think we're close. Let me do the math really quickly. If we play Gambit, if Gambit gets a 2, Gambit plus Captain America clear Future Despair. Absorbing Man now takes the toughness off, and we just have to do 18 damage. Oh, who's going to clear keep up with the pressure? I guess nobody. Yeah, I don't know if we can do it. We can ready ourselves an attack. The shield sidearm can take this off, but then we lose firepower damage. Now, I think we just set up for a kill next turn. I don't think we can do it this turn. Oh, we could have 1x1. Actually, it's not that good. Like, we could have 1x1, notably to knock out Enchantress 2, but Enchantress 3 just can't take damage, so you lose the damage on 1x1, so I think it was totally fine. But maybe it was actually better to thwart 2 instead. Yeah, it could have been better just to use our friend for damage and 1x1 to advance. I think we'll be okay. Regardless, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, I guess. We'll play Gambit. So Gambit says, after enters play, look at the top 3 cards in the counter deck, tuck 1, and then the others go back. And then Gambit's stats are equal to the amount of boost icons. Not stars, but boost icons, and we can't rearrange. So the top card is boosting a star. This is cold storage. So this is only 1, which is not great. And this will be our boost card. Take a damage, doesn't matter. We have another one. This one's worth knowing about. The Trickster Tango says that this attack gets overkill. So there is a bit of overkill in the set, but again, only 1 boost icon. Give us 2. No, only 1. Enthralled Brute. So not a high value Gambit here. So we basically want to decide which is going to be our boost card and which is not. So Trickster Tango is an okay boost card. Getting overkill doesn't matter. Enthralled Brute will come in, and Enthralled Brute has guard because we are enthralled and has 7 hit points, which kind of stinks. So we probably just don't want that. And Trickster Tango doesn't actually have text. Gaining Stalwart doesn't matter. So I think we're actually going to tuck the Brute underneath Gambit. So not a great Gambit, but giving us self-control over the deck is actually worth a lot. So this goes on the top. Oh, hold on. We're going to deck out. Very important. Anytime you're going to deck out, you need to remember that this is not going to be our boost card. This is going to be our card. And this will be the boost card, which is still overall fine. But that means we're going to be drawing cold storage. And cold storage says when revealed, search and counter deck for a Leviathan minion and put into play, engage with you. Otherwise, take 2 damage. What do the Leviathan minions even do? I don't know. I think we'll figure out. We shuffled 2 into the deck. Yeah, I think we'll just find out. I think a minions is fine. So I think this is still okay. No, we did this right. Yeah, this is going to be our card. This will be our boost card. We don't want to draw that. Yeah, this is okay. So cold storage goes on top. We can't change the order. We just know cold storage is on top. All right, I'll just give Gambit some stats. So just so it's clear, we have 1 card in our hand. We're going to deck out. We'll use Absorbing Man, and we're going to exhaust the Bambino. So thwarts for 4, clearing Future Despair. She loses Stalwart, and she can now take damage. This goes into the deck, and Absorbing Man goes into the victory display. Okay, so still can't do a lot. We need to break stealth. We'll use our Fury's Flying Car to ready ourselves. So here we can attack. I don't want to use our shield sidearm, so I think we just thwart down a bit. We can block with Captain America. The attack will have overkill. I don't think it really matters. But I think we do break stealth here once we keep this in check, because this is probably how we lose. So we'll thwart for 2. Put 1 in our suit. Wait, then how are we breaking stealth, buddy? So I guess we can't thwart for 2. We have to attack. So we'll attack. When we attack, we're going to make a basic attack for 2, taking this toughness off. Hold on. We'll first use Gambit to attack for 1, taking the toughness off. That's all he's good for. And then we will attack for 2. So then we're forced to jump into assault mode. I'm not going to use any of these counters because I think we're going to get good use of them on the next turn, but we'll just attack for 2 into the villain, down to 16. Captain America will just heroically thwart for 2, and we will pass. Okay. Complicated turn. We were very close to the lethal there. Maybe if I thought longer, we could find it. Let me know in the comments if you do find it. We'll throw out the 1x1. We'll draw. Intelligence analysis. That's our encounter card cancel technology. Fortunately, maybe on the last turn might not matter. We have a practice plan to play it again. We have a surprise attack. That's a lot of free damage on the final turn because we're already in assault mode, so not necessarily. We have cold storage waiting for us. Gotta shuffle the deck, draw 2 more. Okay, give that a cut. 2 more cards. We have strength and eye patch camera. So no damage in our hand. It's okay. We can always just get it from keeping the pressure. If we had a way to jump to stealth mode, we'd be able to play surprise attack, but unfortunately that's not the case here. So this goes to 2. Enchantress is going to attack us. So it's going to be attacking. We know it's going to be an attack for 3 and the attack has overkill. So we might as well just take it to our face. So we won't block. We'll just take 3 damage down to 7. But after this resolves, we have to do the Enchantress's text, which says put a charm counter on your enchantment. This kicks in because the Sovereign Sorceress now says when a charm counter would be placed on an enchantment, if you are enthralled, you put it here instead as a threat. But this just goes up to 3. So again, we can't get more enthralled. It's just now the threat is a bit scarier. Cool. We draw 2. We know this one. It's cold storage. Well, we don't know what it's going to get, but I can't imagine it's great. Search and counter deck in the discard pile for a Leviathan, put into play, engage with you. So we can always go grab our Nemesis, but I don't know what the other options are. I think there's 2 minions we shuffled in here. Yeah, Leviathan Soldier. What is the text on this? Toughness. After a Leviathan Soldier schemes, deal 1 damage. This doesn't matter. Does not have guard, 4 health, toughness. And if it schemes, we take damage. It's a really cool mechanic that makes you take damage while still in stealth as much as it schemes for 0. Really, really cool card. Our next card, though, is Sinister Strike. Uh-oh. So we're going to get attacked. So place 1 pursuit counter. Enchantress is now going to attack us for 2 and a card. The most damage this can do is probably 5. So I don't think we're going to sweat it because we should have lethal this next turn. So we'll just cut. We're not going to block. So 1, 2, 3. We're all lackey. No way this stuns us, right? Choose to either place 1 charm counter on the enchantment in your player or confuse your identity. We'll just confuse ourselves. Shouldn't matter. So this is 1, 2, 3. We take 3. And again, the villain's text kicks in, which would put a charm on us, but instead we're going to put it here. All right. That is us. Now we just have to figure out how to win. Oh, this should be ready. So we can win from here, right? We have some cool ways to make this work for us. So I'm just going to do Chance of Pride. So exhaust this card, place 1 threat here. And then we remove 2 threat from a side scheme, which means we can clear Keep Up the Pressure. Very importantly, when you fire Keep Up the Pressure, when you clear it, it goes to the victory display. We can search our deck for an attack event. And until the end of this phase, each attack event deals 1 additional damage. So we're going to go for our biggest attack event. It's Firepower, because this card now does 4 for each instance. Plus we can juice it with our assault suit. So this is 14 damage. Cool. Now we don't have any other attack events in our hand, which sucks, but this should be good enough. Okay. I guess we're going to do the Kiss of Temptation. But this says exhaust this card, place a charm counter, draw a card, then discard a card. So we can look deeper for some more damage, which seems fun. So I guess we're going to just attack for 2 into the villain. Nice. Then we'll do a Kiss, exhaust this card, place a charm counter on the enchantment, which places it here instead. Draw a card, then discard a card. Ooh, Concentrated Fire is kind of perfect. We'll just discard a surprise attack, which we can't play. So I think we're allowed to do everything this turn that we want to. So we can clean up the entirety of the board. So we have no piercing. So Gambit will attack for 1 into the Leviathan. We can play. Oh, no way. We can break when we drew this Concentrated Fire. Hold on. We'll definitely throw out something else. We'll never play this because we actually can break stealth the surprise attack and see how much damage we can do this turn. We have the physical for it. No, we don't have the physical. So we'll throw out this card, which doesn't have the physical. Yeah, this is much better because we actually can break stealth now with the Concentrated Fire. No, yeah, we drew it off the Kiss of Temptation. So we had full information. I don't mind when I have to take back plays because it means that there's always a better play, which gives me something to pursue. This seems like the scheduling, the sequencing in this deck is actually a fair bit more interesting than I think it is. Okay, so next, we're going to play Concentrated Fire. We're going to be targeting a Leviathan Soldier. All our attacks do 1 additional damage. So this does 5 damage, which knocks out the Leviathan Soldier. Then either we can change to stealth suit mode, which we will. Cool. So now we're in stealth. Yeah, we have a lot of damage here. We're going to use our Fury's Flying Car to remove a counter to ready ourselves. If we threat for 2, we get 1 more damage. No, it's better to attack. Yeah, it is better to attack. More counters would be good though. Oh, we can't thwart. We're confused. Okay, so we're definitely attacking. And when we attack, we are forced to jump into its assault suit. So we're attacking currently for 2. However, here, we now can fire surprise attack because changing your suit is considered changing form. So we'll pitch 1 physical for this. And this is surprise attack. It says after you change form, deal 4 damage. We're just going to deal 4 damage. We don't have the icons to boost this. Maybe the confuse we shouldn't take into confuse. We could have got a couple more counters here, but I guess if we're attacking, we're still doing damage. So the villain takes 4 off of this. Okay. We're going to attack for 2 with Captain America. Villain takes 2 more. Our attack still goes through, which was pending, so the villain takes 2. And then we'll pitch practice plan to play firepower, which, mind you, this does 1 extra damage. Excuse me, really quickly, surprise attacks damage should have been increased by 1, so the villain does 1 more damage because of our side scheme. Now, firepower does 3 damage for each weapon we exhaust, but because we played Keep Up with the Pressure, all our attack events do 1 more. So this is 4 damage for each weapon we exhaust. And we can use our assault counters here. We'll spend 3 of them. So now we're doing 7 damage for each weapon we exhaust. So exhaust 2 weapons, which does 7 and does 14. So the villain takes 14, goes down to -9, but not too bad. 1 deck out, almost got there before the deck out. It might have been possible. But that is the idea of playing Aggression Nick Fury, having those big burst attacks while hiding in the shadow, popping out, clearing the table, and then disappearing once again. We did still get charmed, which I think is actually pretty interesting because, of course, if we're dodging the villain's attacks, we should never get charm counters, but there's still a whole bunch of ways it works out for you. I'm enjoying Enchantress a fair bit, especially in solo play, so I'm excited to see again. I haven't seen all the charms so far. I like these forced actions more than I thought I would. They have interesting sequencing and having that sort of cost, but also still having a benefit. There's a lot of ways you can make it work for you and feel good about it. Now, if you want to play this Nick Fury list, it is below in the description. Just hit more on YouTube. And if you like content like this, if you want to take a second just to leave a like on the video, that really does help with the algorithm. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you'll know that when we put out more videos, and we're live streaming, it's usually on Sundays. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Ciao.